Stealing my boyfriend's computer. Does he not have Chrome? Oh, he does have Chrome. Oh. Oh, he's on YouTube. No. No, thank you. Can you tell I didn't learn typing? So I wanted to do a video, and we might not, I don't know, depends on if there's any interest, on do not do anything naughty. I have a sweet potato nuking in the microwave, so if you hear me get up and run, it's probably because my sweet potato exploded. I haven't even made my dinner. So I wanted to do a live just to hang out and talk, but I also wanted to discuss something of import because I thought, let's make these lives educational. So I might go into scheduling my week a little bit, planning some lessons for my student, planning some lessons for my new horse, kind of new horse, that's a long story. Baby, don't chew on my stuff. Hey, Noodle, I'm watching you. Don't you have a bully stick? You have a bully stick, go chew on that. Hi Serenity. I'm kind of rough. It's been a hard weekend. So I ended up trading May back for Julio. The papers got lost, so now he's a grade horse, which sucks because it went from being easy sell to now I have to make him twice as good in the hopes that I can get half as much, which is fine. I mean, I make good horses when I have time. So we'll see if I can't make him into something pretty nice. But I got Julio back. I'm going to look at renaming him because I really do hate the name Julio. But everybody else seemed to love it, so I left it. But I don't like it, so we'll see about changing his name. But I wanted to do... Oh, there's a horse coat color calculator. That might be cool too. So I wanted to talk about equine coat color genetics. If you want to pay me $3,000, I'll give you the horsey. So equine coat color genetics determine a horse's coat color. Many colors are possible, but all variations are produced by changes in only a few genes. Bay is the most common color of horse. I disagree. Followed by black and chestnut. Strong disagree. A change at the okay, everyone says this word differently, so don't come at me. Agouti locus is capable of turning bay to black, while a mutation of the extension locus can turn a bay or a black to a chestnut. So I wanted to talk a little bit on the equine color genetics because I learned a little bit about it earlier when I was an intern in Texas, and it really interested me because all horse colors come from 3 colors, and I was like, there's no way. So it's kind of like no, I'm not a horse breeder, I'm a horse trainer, and a people trainer. So it's kind of like the primary colors, but with horses' coats. So there are 3 base colors. That's the kind of underlying palette we work from. There's 3 base colors that can be affected by any number of dilution genes and patterning genes. The dilution genes include the wild-type dun gene, believed to be one of the oldest colors existent in horses and donkeys. It says extant. I'm going to go with existent in horses and donkeys. The dun gene lightens in some areas of the horse's coats while leaving a darker dorsal stripe, mane, tail, face, and legs, depending on whether it acts on a bay, black, or chestnut base coat. The dun gene produces the colors known as bay dun, gruya, and red dun. Some people say grula. I say gruya. That's just what I was taught. You're an APBT breeder? I don't know what that is. APBT. I don't know what breed that is. Thanks, Bluck. Another common dilution gene, which a lot of people have probably heard of, is the cream gene. And the cream gene is responsible for palominos, buckskins, and Cremolo horses. Less common dilutions include Perlino, Champagne, and Silver Dapple. Some of these genes also lighten eye color. Oh, it would have helped me if you had said dog. Not a fan of that breed. I mean, you do you, man. I support if you're doing it ethically, but I don't like that breed. I don't like most bully breeds, though. Like, it's not just pit bulls. I don't like bully breeds. I don't like those types of dogs. My friend has a bull mastiff, and I'm just like, not my type of dog, but I support you. So genes that affect the distribution of melanocytes, kind of like melanin, create patterns of white spotting or speckling, such as it in roan, pinto, leopard, white or white spotting, and even some white markings. Finally, the gray gene causes depigmentation of the hair shaft, slowly adding white hairs over the course of several years until the horse's body hair is nearly or completely white. So, I don't like the dogs. You can say whatever you want. I don't like bully dogs. They're ugly. That is my sole reason for not liking them. I don't like what people tend to do with them, but it's usually a type of person that does that. So I just don't like bully breeds. I think they're really gross looking. I think they have too much of a predisposition towards aggression, and I don't think any casual person needs that. If you're doing protection work, I think that is perfect, chef's kiss, but the average person does not have the capacity to handle a protection bred dog. Well, I've only had one boyfriend, and he had a doodle, so I've never dated someone with a pit bull, because if they had a pit bull, I probably wouldn't date them, because I don't want to live with a pit bull. I don't like that breed. So I'm not going to date someone who has a pit bull, because I'm not going to make them get rid of their dog. They have their dog. Nah. Bully dogs are gross. Also, this isn't about dogs. This is about horses. Why is it messed up that I would not date someone who has a dog that I don't like? That's like saying I'm gross because I don't date women. I find it gross, so I'm not going to encourage it. Yeah, dating people on their pets is actually insanely smart. If someone was a barrel racer, I'm probably not going to date them. I don't like barrel racing. I think it's ick. I support my friends that barrel race, but I personally am like, not my thing. I wouldn't date someone with a terrier breed. I don't like terriers. In what for the money? Arguably, barrel racers make the most money. So if I was in it for the money, I would date a barrel racer. I am too much, but not for that reason. Women have just as many options as they think. What are you talking about, bro? I mean, I'm already in a relationship, so I hope nobody wants me. But unfortunately, you're wrong. Lots of people do. I have to turn people down regularly. I don't like huskies. My sister loves huskies. I can't stand the howling. That's a disgusting thing to say, Lily. Kind of shows the type of person you are. But also, he would never do that. Thankfully, I don't date trash. I'm picky with what I date, clearly. Well, I have a boyfriend, so I'm definitely turning guys down. Ooh, Israel. There's nothing wrong with having preferences in who you date. I am picky on everything, almost everything. I'm not as picky as I should be on some things. Pickiness is actually really, really smart. Not being picky is probably the dumbest thing you could do for yourself. If you're not picky, you're going to be disappointed in so many things. If you just date every man that walks down your path, you're going to get mistreated. Why would I date someone who hates horses? So I have to date someone who's at least okay with horses. My partner is not a horse person. Why would I date someone who likes dogs that I don't? Actually, I am. He likes bulldogs. I don't. But I'm not going to tell him he can't have a bulldog. But right now we don't have one. He knows I don't like them. So it's his dog. He has to take care of it. Why would I date someone who doesn't agree with what I believe? If I get most of them, I'm happy. I'm not gonna not date someone because they don't hit every single criteria. But I want them to hit a majority. You guys are crazy tonight. No, most married women have no idea where their husband is. I'd rather be lonely than waste my life on someone who doesn't fit my needs. I have plenty of offers. I have a committed relationship. I'm really not worried. It's also not the point of this live. The point of this live was to talk about horses. So I guess we'll just jump back into the horses and I'll ignore all of you for now. Yeah, that's called a healthy relationship, Lazarus. A healthy relationship is saying, look, you fulfill most of my needs. Here's the things that you don't match me on. I look at what needs do I fulfill? What do I need to work on? We constantly ask each other, hey, is there anything that I'm missing that like you feel like I need to work on? Is there anything about me that bothers you? Because that's what healthy people do. Well, I hope horses deny me in that area. That would be disturbing. Why does my stomach look like that? Because I'm a human being. But anyway, I guess we'll go back to horses. Yeah, thank you, Lazarus. So we were talking about horses' colors are based off of 3 base coats. I believe the 3 base coats are sorrel. I'll have to look it up because I want to make sure I say it right. Let's see. There's a lot of different terminology that's very specific. I have a very limited knowledge on the base colors. Okay. So I believe the 3 base colors, I was right, are chestnut or sorrel. Those are interchangeable terms. Black and bay. So every horse is either a chestnut, a black, or a bay, but then a variation therein. So bays can be a bay dun, a buckskin, a perlino, a silver bay, an amber, or a champagne. A black could be a gruya, a smoky cream, a silver dapple, a classic champagne, and others. And then a chestnut could be a red dun, a palomino, a cremolo, a gold champagne, and others. The chestnut genes are, the extension is the EE, and then the agouti could be any. For the black, the extension is large case EE or large case E, lowercase e, and the agouti would be AA, both lowercase. And then for the bay, it would be, the extension is capital case EE or capital case E, lowercase e. And then the agouti can be the capital case A's or the capital case A, lowercase a. So white is a variation of one of those three colors. Gray is often called white. Oh, that was what I was going to talk about before Lily became all like rude. So if you have a horse and they test gray, they are not any other color than gray. It doesn't matter what they look like, they are a gray. So a great example of that is actually Marvel, my mare that I had. She was dun presenting, so she looked like a dun, but she's a gray because she is going to keep turning gray for the rest of her life. It is a kind of, it's not a disease, it's a mutation in their hair where they slowly lose pigment in their hair. So if you have a horse that has the gray gene, they are a gray horse. They're not a sorrel, they're not a dun, they're not anything, they are a gray. I would say, I'm not sure how in-depth I can go on this because a lot of this is those letters with slashes, so it's kind of hard to explain. So dun is one of several genes that control the saturation or intensity of pigment in the coat. Dun is unique in that it is simple dominant. It affects eumelanin and pheomelanin equally and does not affect the skin or the eyes. Horses that are with the dominant D allele, it's a lot of words that I don't really know how to say. So D/D or D/D genotypes exhibit hypomelanism of the body coat, while DD horses have otherwise intense saturated coat colors. The mane, tail, head, legs, and primitive markings are not diluted. Zygosity for dun can be determined with a DNA test. I'm trying to give you like a kind of base definition of each of the coat colors. So cream is another one of the genes that control the saturation or dilution of pigment in the coat. Cream differs from dun in that it affects the coat, skin, and eyes. And unlike dun, its dosage depends is dosage dependent rather than simple dominant. Furthermore, the effects on eumelanin and pheomelanin are not equal. Horses with the homozygous recessive genotype CC are not affected by cream. Heterozygous CCRC have one cream allele and one wild type non-cream allele. Such horses, sometimes called single dilutes, exhibit dilution red pigment in the coats, eyes, and skin to yellow or gold, while eumelanin is largely unaffected. Homozygotes, so CCR, have two cream alleles and are sometimes called double dilutes. Homozygous creams exhibit strong dilution of both red and black pigments in the coat, eyes, and skin to ivory or cream. The skin is rosy pink and the eyes are pale blue. Cream is now identifiable by a DNA test. So basically they can either be a single dilute or a double dilute, which basically determines how much of their color is affected. So champagne. So a lot of people mix up cream and champagne. So I'll be interested to read what the difference is. Champagne is a gene that controls the saturation or dilution of pigment in the coat. Unlike cream, champagne is not strongly dosage dependent and affects both types of pigment equally. Champagne differs from dun in that it affects the color of the coat, skin, and eyes, and in that the unaffected condition is the wild type. Horses with the dominant CH allele, so CHCH or CHCH genotype, exhibit hypomelanism of the body coat, such that pheomelanin, there are so many melanins, is diluted to gold, and eumelanin is diluted to tan. Affected horses are born with blue eyes, which darken to amber, green, or light brown. A bright pink skin, which acquires darker freckling with maturity. the difference in phenotype between the homozygous CHCH and heterozygous CHCH horses may be subtle, in that the coat of the homozygote may be a shade lighter with less mottling. Horses with the homozygous recessive genotype CHCH are not affected by champagne. Champagne is now identifiable by a DNA test. I was going to say, I think most of them are identifiable by a DNA test now. Oh, here we go. So I might read these really quick actually. So the MC1R extension, horse forms black pigment in skin and hair and maybe black, seal brown, or bay. So you'll have to look it up because it's a chart and it has a bunch of different letter combinations, and I am not going to sit here and say them all. But the MC1R seems to mostly affect the E's. So EE, EEA, EA. Horse is a chestnut if it has black pigment in the skin but red pigment in the hair. So that's the MC1R extension. I'm trying to hit any of the ones that are common. So the dun is the TBX3, and that one, the dun gene wild type dilution. Horses show a diluted body color to pinkish red, yellow, or mouse gray, and has dark points called primitive markings, including a dorsal stripe, shoulder stripe, and leg barring. Another version is that the horse is slightly diluted and primitive markings are darker. Another version is the horse is not diluted and has faint primitive markings. And then another version is the horse has undiluted coat color with no primitive markings. They're still a dun, just genetically a dun. So gray is the STX17. So the gray gene, horse is born another color and grays out as it ages. Pigment in the skin does not change throughout the graying process. The graying process is progressive and unique to the horse. So if it says GG or GN, it's the gray gene. If it's NN, there's no gray. Because if it's a gray, it's a gray. It's not that color and a gray, it's a gray. There's like a ton of these that you can read. Maybe here. All the nasty comments that I'm not going to read. So here's the chart. So this was the chart I was reading from. Let me scroll back up. So this is the chart, the alleles and effects. And so if you want to read them, I just Googled Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not always right, but it helps. I was going to say, I don't know if I can. So that's the gene. Yeah, there you go. So here's a white. Lethal white syndrome is pretty scary, actually. So it's if they get certain genes, they'll just die. That's a whole thing. I could do a video on that, but I'm not doing that right now. So here's the cream. If I can scroll. I'm too tired for this. My dang hands aren't working. Okay, there's the cream. And then pearl. Which the pictures are terrible. Wow, you really can't tell. Okay. But yeah, there's a bunch of those. So here is the phenotype and then the potential genotype chart. If you want to learn more about it, you can look it up. But I thought it'd be interesting to discuss it a little bit. So there's 3 base colors. The bay, the black, and the sorrel. Those are your 3 base colors that you can have. Ooh, Dunalino. I knew a Dunalino, actually. He was super cool. Palomino Dunalino. Do a video on what? All the different coat colors? I'm not educated enough. You're learning along with me. Like, that's... Oh, you mean the lethal bay? Or the lethal white? I don't know enough about the lethal white. I just know of it. We could look at it. So the lethal white syndrome, also called overo-lethal white syndrome, lethal white overo, and lethal white foal syndrome is an autosomal genetic disorder most prevalent in the American paint horse. It affects foals, or the affected foals are born after the full 11-month gestation and externally appear normal, though they have all white or nearly all white coats and blue eyes. However, internally, these foals have a non-functioning colon. Within a few hours, signs of colic appear. Affected foals die within a few days. Because of the death is often painful, such foals are often humanely euthanized once identified. The disease is particularly devastating because foals are born seemingly healthy after being carried to full term. The disease has a similar cause to Hirschsprung's disease in humans. A mutation in the middle of the endothelin receptor type B gene causes lethal white syndrome when homozygous. Carriers, which are heterozygous, that is, have one copy of the mutated allele, but themselves are healthy, can now be reliably identified with a DNA test. Both parents must be carriers of one copy of the lethal white syndrome allele for an affected foal to be born. So they have to have one of the both parents must carry one copy of the allele to affect the foal. So in other words, if your horse has lethal white syndrome, don't breed it to another horse that has lethal white syndrome, and you'll probably be okay. But people breed for color, not health. Horses that are heterozygous for the gene that causes lethal white syndrome often exhibit a spotted coat color pattern commonly known as frame or frame overo. Coat color alone does not always indicate the presence of lethal white syndrome or carrier status. However, the frame pattern may be minimally expressed or masked by other spotting patterns. Also, different genetic mechanisms produce healthy white foals and have no connection to the lethal white syndrome. Another reason for genetic testing for potential breeding stock. Some confusion also occurs because the term overo is used to describe a number of other non-Tobiano spotting patterns besides the frame pattern. Though no treatment or cure for lethal white syndrome foals is known, a white foal without lethal white syndrome that appears ill may have a treatable condition. So there you go, that's lethal white syndrome. Pretty much, if you don't test your breeding stock, it might happen, but generally, nowadays, more and more people are testing their breeding stock. So they know, okay, this horse has lethal white syndrome. We probably shouldn't breed it to this type of horse. I do love a good Friesian. So I've never had a horse with lethal white syndrome because I don't do APHAs. I don't have a lot of American paint horses. Let me go back. If I had one that had lethal white syndrome, I would absolutely tell someone because there's no reason to not. It doesn't make your horse a bad horse if they have that gene. It just means you need to be careful when you breed it. Good, no one misses you or 3. I would say, I don't know if there's any other interesting ones we could read really quick. I just wanted to I was like, oh, let's pick a topic for tonight. And I was like, well, why don't we cover some, like, horse colors, because people love to talk about them, but they don't know a lot. Tiger eye. Oh, so that's when they're, it's a gene that causes diluted eye color in horses. They're both recessive. Horses displaying tiger eye typically have a yellow, orange, or amber iris. Tiger eye has only been found in Puerto Rican what? Puerto Rican Pasifino horses. Interesting. That's such a weird, like, just one type of horse. Horses of related breeds were tested. So, like, the Colombian Pasos, the Mangalargas, the Lusitanos, and the Andalusian horses, and none were found to have either tiger eye allele. No obvious link between eye shades and coat color was seen, making this the first studied gene in horses to affect eye color, but not coat color. Tiger eye does not appear to affect vision. There are no signs of reduced pigment on the retina or the retinal pigment epithelium. Making me say all the big words. No. Don't tell me what to do. I'm not fixing my posture. I was gonna say, I don't know if there's any other cool genetic things we could talk about. That's so weird. Horse marking pattern. Ooh, Rabicano. My Mustang they thought was a Pinto Rabicano. Big words matter. Big words are hard. I'm sitting here trying to say them, and I'm trying to not, like, stumble. Let's see. Dilution genes. This is actually a pretty good, like, little flow chart. So the base coat colors are black, chestnut, also known as sorrel, and bay, which includes seal brown. Gray is its own thing. And then the dilution genes are the cream gene, the single dilution, buckskin palomino, also known as Isabelline, smoky black. Double dilution is Cremlo, Perlino, smoky cream. And then there's the champagne gene, the dun gene. See also blue dun or Gruyere. And then the pearl or silver dapple. Then if they have the white, it's dominant white, Sabino white, lethal white syndrome, which we covered. And then there's all the Pinto patterns, which that is a whole thing. Talking about paint horse patterns is exhausting. Because you've got Overo, Tobiano, Tovero, and then you've got all the different variations of those. Sabino. I used to know what a Sabino was. Oh, it's the ones with roaning and irregular edge markings. Let's say, so Overo refers to several genetically unrelated Pinto coloration patterns of white over dark body markings in horses, and is a term used by the American Paint Horse Association to classify a set of Pinto patterns that are not Tobiano. Overo is a Spanish word, originally meaning like an egg. Okay. I'm just reading you the short definitions. So, Tobiano is a spotted color pattern commonly seen in Pinto horses produced by a dominant gene. The Tobiano gene produces white-haired, pink-skinned patches on a base coat color. The coloration is almost always present from birth and does not change throughout the horse's life. And then Tovero. The Tovero coloration is a mix of Tobiano and Overo colorations in Pinto horses and the American Paint horses. The genetics of Pinto coloration are not always fully understood, and some horses have a combination of patterns that does not fit cleanly in either category. Why ride horses when you got legs? Because it's way more fun. Why not? I want to know what the kit gene is. I'm confused by the kit gene. But I don't know what color. Color breed. See, genetics was never where I was very strong. In science, I was never very good with the genetics because I did not enjoy genetics. Flaxen is interesting because why would you want something that's not sentient? That's like saying, why do you have a pet? You could have kids. have horses because I like horses. Yeah, but I went on a little bender with the whole horse color topic just because I was like, oh, let's give them like a topic that actually benefits, you know, like educates people. I have read a little bit on that, on several war horses that have survived the war or had extraordinary service. I think it's a very interesting topic. There's also a really interesting story about a duck. Why don't we use horses in war anymore? Because we have better tactics now. So horses were a great tool in wartime because we had no motorized vehicles. So they were our motorized vehicle. They could move more than any person. They could move it quicker than people. And they were stronger than people. Now we have, and plus the other obvious thing why we don't use horses anymore is because they die. A tank won't die. I mean, it will. Like, if you screw it up, it will. Well, originally horsepower, the term horsepower in cars was relative to how many horses, like, so they'd have multiple horse carts. So it's like, oh, this is a 6-horse cart. It has 6 horsepower. And then it just kind of translated. But now it's kind of like not really a relevant term for it anymore because how can you like equate, I don't know, 300 horsepower? So we don't use horses in war anymore because, first off, a lot of our horses nowadays would not survive war. They're either too cowardly or they're not physically strong enough to survive, as well as mentally not being there. People would be morally reprehensible to it. They would find that absolutely evil that you would put a horse in harm's way. There is also the fact that horses die. A tank won't die unless you really screw up, and then it will, but, you know. I don't understand your question. Say it again, Ankit. Plus, horses cost more to upkeep for less benefit. They're not being used like objects, and riding them keeps them healthy, so your argument doesn't really